Hey everybody, this is Ryan McClellan with New Read Games LLC, and I'm going to go over video game flowcharts with you. Now, it's not the most epic, dynamic, fundamental feature for a lead designer to understand, but sometimes programmers and even level designers do require flowcharts for whatever reason. I do not know. All I know is I've been a lead designer multiple times and I've had to do them. So, you start with a concept. For instance, here's a simple event, a function, and an action. So, player stands near a firework, lights it using a lighter, and it launches. Sounds simple enough. Now, if the programmer can't figure that out on their own, I don't know why you're paying them or not paying them. Maybe that's why they. Well, if you're not paying them, I don't know why they'd want a flowchart anyway. It complicates it. But for sake of argument, let's say they do want a flowchart. You could do all of this in Microsoft Word. Simply go to your Word document. It's always good to have the concept piece written where you can see it. Click Insert and go to Shape. Now, as you can see, you have squares, circles, triangles. Let's start with the squares. So just left click and drag until you feel it's big enough. Then right click on it and add text. So we're going to start with player approaches firework. Let's make it a little bit wider and a little bit more narrow. There, so you have one piece of the entire puzzle done. Player stands near the firework. Now, the next part is going to get a bit more complicated because lighting it using a lighter might not be as simple as pressing a button. It might require you to open the inventory. This is where flow charts come into play. So, draw a little arrow down. All you have to do is select this and just select it, click and drag down. It always feeds down. A flowchart will always feed downward. It could go vertical, I mean horizontal, and it's always going in a relatively stable direction downward. So let's do a circle. And for the record, this is a basic tutorial. I will cover more secular areas later on, such as what happens when there's multiple things that need to be documented in one of these things. I'll show you in a second, but let's just finish this up. Player approaches firework, right click and add text, and player presses E to access inventory. Gonna make it a little bit larger so it all fits. Okay, so we have that. And as I said, it gets a lot more, it gets a lot deeper than just lighting it using a lighter. So we're gonna go over here, drag another arrow. We're gonna go horizontal this time because sometimes it saves space. It really does. And we're gonna drag another shape, square this time. Right click and add text. And obviously we want them to be able to select the lighter. So player uses left click. In the event that we're using a computer, you're going to left click to, access the lighter. Player uses left click on lighter icon to weld it, wield it, whatever. I'm not into medieval terminology, so just bear with me. Let's use a circle again. And now we had to close the inventory. So we're going to go over here, go down again, and add text. Pressing E closes inventory. Let's just even it out a little bit and move it there. Now let's go horizontal again. Move it over here so it's about the same location as that is. And let's do a square. So now we have, let's go over it. Player has approached the firework and wishes to light it using a lighter so that it will launch. So the player presses E to access the inventory. Player uses left click on lighter icon to weld it. Pressing E closes inventory. And you can see how it flows, how that simple sentence can actually flow down into multiple segments. And that's what programmers want. I don't know why, but they do. And okay, so the inventory is closed. Player uses left click on firework. And lastly but not least, firework will explode. So let's do a circle and move it down so that it all flows nicely. And once again, right click, add text, firework launches into the air. Make it big enough. Okay, there you have it. You just figured out. Well, I helped you figure out. You got to give me some credit. I'm kidding. All jokes aside, player stands near a firework, lights it using a lighter, and it launches. That simple 15-word sentence has 6 steps to it. Now, we're going to get more advanced in the next tutorial, but I'll leave it at this for the time being. I'm going to save the tutorial and have a link to it in the description, and hope this helped. Flowcharts, they do help in their own merit. Obviously, this shows how, okay, it's not just, pressing a button to light the firework. You have to go into the inventory, you have to close the inventory, you have to click on the firework, and it has to launch. And it's a lot of functions, controls, events, actions, but it's necessary sometimes. So, hope this helped, and get to work.